Hi everyone, my name's John, aka Crazy Ivan, and I'm bringing you a video today of a battle report for a quick test game I played earlier this week to test a format that I've been working on. Just to give you a quick overview of it, I've sort of arranged all the ships that I have in my collection. Most of them are from the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Pirates of the Revolution set, although there's a few others splashed in there. But then the idea is you sort of pull the names from different pools you decide to play on with that particular game. You pull them out of a hat, and then you sort of get a few ships that you get to choose to make a fleet from. The idea it's a bit more of a casual format, but it means that it's mostly for my brothers and friends that quite like the game, but don't want to spend loads of time thinking about min-maxing their fleets and stuff. They just want to play the game with somewhat balanced fleets. So I've tried to sort of balance each of these pools with roughly equal power. There's a few special rules that I have for this. Each of your ships comes with a captain if you want to use it, and you get another generate crew per ship you have in your fleet. So the list of crew I'm allowing in this one are just those listed there. If it was a bigger game, I'd probably add the specialists as well, but I wanted to keep it small and simple for this one. And you're also only allowed to have one of each of those in your fleet, so you're only allowed to have one helmsman, for example. Then the unique treasures are chosen at random for that pool there. So maybe you take 2 in a game, for example, and so you have sort of an idea of what they could be, but they are random from game to game. And those are simple treasures that are quite easy to resolve from the Pirates of the Caribbean set that I thought would be quite nice to use in a more casual game. And then the gold you contribute in each game is actually equal to the points values that I've reallocated for your fleet. So for this game, I went with a 12 points game, which means 12 gold. So you got a few ships from the 3, 4, and 5 pool, and you have to pick one of those for each of them. I took a few photos this game. I was being too quick and rushing it. I used one of my old cheapy cameras that I take out trekking. It normally takes all right photos out in the daylight, but when it was a bit more gloomy in the room that I was playing the game, the photos came out really grainy. I played a game yesterday where I'm planning to do a report for that later in the week, where I've made sure to use a better camera, but unfortunately, sorry for that, you have to put out these poor quality images for this one. But hopefully you can see there's those paper tickets at the top of the screen, so those are just the things I'd pulled out of the hat. Just so you can see each of the fleets clearer, these are images I've taken from Archelon's site, the psmlist.com, which is a nice website I like to use to look up ships. And you can see I've got the Bloody Jewel, which is a quite good ship in the top row there, but I've put it in a pool with slightly higher costed ships to sort of try and balance that out. And then likewise, these are the ships I got for the other fleet. So yeah, again, the idea is that you pick one from each row. So with this fleet, I decided to go the El San Francisco over the Bloody Jewel. It's a bit slower, but it has those slightly better cannons, which I thought might be useful. And the Princess is just a nice all-round ship, and then Algerciras is just quite a nice, quick ship, and it has okay cannons as a sort of secondary gunner. And I made up my Spanish fleet. The Princess has been Spanish for now. And I kept my captain in each of those ships, and then had a helmsman, oarsman, and cannoneer there. And then for the other fleet, I did the same again. This time I went with l'Atalanta, just because I had quite good cannons. I went with the Dragon, because I knew the other fleet didn't have an English ship, so it wouldn't have the downside of that. And then I went with the Kintai Fong over the HMS Blazer here. They're very similar ships. Kintai Fong is definitely the worst of the two, but I thought, when are you ever using this ship? So I thought I had to do it, because I don't think I've ever played with this ship before, so I had to take the opportunity here. And it's not that much worse, so I thought it would be okay. And then that made my pirate fleet. So yeah, the French Atalant's been a pirate today. 3 captains again, and this time I went with the helmsman, explorer, and musketeer. So just match up the fleets there, and just to show you what the actual original points cost of each of these fleets would be 31 against 38. Though I think maybe you'd agree with me that I think these fleets are actually much more balanced than that, and possibly the Spanish fleet might actually be a bit more powerful, but we'll see. So again, apologies for the grainy quality of the photos, but this was just the basic setup I had for the game, with the central island and then those 2 other wild islands in the corners there, whirlpools top and bottom, and fog banks left and right. So I put this in a nice diagram here for you, so hopefully that's a lot clearer. I didn't want to spend too long with the graphics and stuff, but I just wanted to make it so it's somewhat clear. So you can see the Kintai Fong, for example, is a nice rectangle there. Just to dive into the game, though, obviously not too much happens in the first couple of turns, but the El San Francisco just heads north to that northeast island, while the Princess and the Algerciras sort of push towards the centre of the map. The pirates then respond, but sort of in a similar way, sending the dragon, straight north, while the Latalant and Kintai Fong move towards the centre of the map, but try to stay out of range of the Spanish fleet's guns. On the Spanish turn 2, the El San Francisco manages to reach the northeast island and dock up there, whilst again the Princess and Algeciras just continue to move up, keeping the island in the centre between them and the opposing fleet. And on the Pirates' turn 2, they're playing it cautious. The Dragon continues north on her voyage. The Kintai Fong enters the fog bank for protection, and the Dragon slips round the back of the fog bank to again sort of try and stay out of the range of the enemy guns. Spanish turn 3, the El San Francisco explores the island and picks up 3 treasures. The Princess docks at the central island there, so sort of apply some pressure and try and force the pirate fleet to react. And then the Algeciras decides to bomb forward as she realizes she can get in range of Atlanta just to try and mix things up and play a distraction. So this was the first shoot action of the game, and she manages to roll quite lucky and scores 2 hits on the Atlanta, which is quite a devastating attack on the pirate's best ship. And here you can see I was going to say first blood, but maybe first mast is the correct term for the pirates game. And then you can see the Princess docked up in the background with the Kintai Fong in the fog bank there. The turn 3 for the pirates, they get a chance to respond. The Kintai Fong rolls a quite lucky 5, which leads her out of the northeast side of that fog bank behind the Algerciras to try and respond. Yeah, but unfortunately, even with her musketeer on board, she only manages to get 1 successful hit, which means the Dragon decides to follow up with another volley of gunfire as she couldn't quite reach that top island with her movement. And she hits one of her shots, which leaves the Algerciras derelict. Now, the Atlanta, I had the decision of maybe going back to the home island and repairing because she's quite damaged, but the Princess is already threatening to pick up the treasure in the central island, so I think the Atlanta was forced to try and react to that, so she moves towards the central island to try and interrupt that from the Princess. And that leads us to turn 4. The El San Francisco continues on her gold running voyage, pretty much completely uncontested. And then the Princess decides to reposition instead of exploring the island and to open up fire on the Atalanta, and she manages to successfully sink her. So there's a picture of the wreck of the Atlanta sinking below the waves, the very stripy waves in that picture, and you can see the derelict El Algeciras slightly to the left there as well. So the pirates turn 4. The Dragon finally manages to reach that northwest island, and with her explore straight away, and picks up all the treasure on the island, as one of them is the dead man's chest. I don't know how many crew are going to get sacrificed to the dead man's chest, we might see later. But the Kintai Fong moves south towards the Princess and opens up all her firepower, but unfortunately only manages to score 1 hit again, which could have turned the tide if she put a bit more damage in there, but it wasn't to be on those rolls. Then the Spanish turn 5, the El San Francisco completes her first gold running trip and drops off her 3 coins, and the Princess decides to remaneuver to ram the Kintai Fong, and with her captain she shoots first, scoring 1 hit, and also managed to successfully ram. This is where I wasn't quite 100% sure if a derelict ship was allowed to contest in a boarding action. I did ask later, and it was Ben that actually confirmed to me that you can still do this. My gut instinct was because the rules don't say don't do it, that I did do it anyway. And the Kintai Fong actually managed to roll a 6 on her boarding roll, which won the boarding, and she chose to kill her crew. Obviously, there's no treasure on board, so the Princess lost her cannoneer. And there you can see the resultant action of the shot and the ram from the princess and the Kintai Fong sorry. And then the pirates turn 5. Things are looking a bit bleak. The dragon is the only master ship left in the fleet. As a sort of act of desperation, she moves towards the Algerciras and decides to try and tow her back. This was actually where I was trying to play the game fast, and I realised afterwards when I looked back at the notes I'd made that I was moving the dragon as if she had a helmsman when she was towing, so that was bad from me. But as we'll see, I don't think it made much of a difference in this game, but I need to make sure I don't do that again in future games. So the Spanish turn 6, the San Francisco starts moving towards the middle of the island, and the princess remaneuvers to try and attack the dragon, getting in range for that, and she scores 2 successful hits, but the dragon reveals the Potions and Brews unique treasure, which forces the princess to reroll one of her dice, and it actually causes one of those hits to miss instead. So the dragon just about survives. And this is where, like I said, I did a bit of a whoopsie and did 2 parts of the movement, which I shouldn't have done. But the dragon moves into that fog bank there, trying to hide and try their best to get back to a home island. Spanish turns 7, I should say, and El San Francisco docks in that middle island, and the princess just maneuvers around that fog bank to try and cut off the route between the fog bank and the pirate's home island. Pirate turns 7, and the dragon rolls a 5 again for the fog bank, which again puts her out to the northeast. So she decides to try and run towards that whirlpool there. Spanish turn 8, and the El San Francisco simply explores the central island, picking up 3 more treasure coins, and the princess moves further south to try and block off the route between the whirlpool and the pirate's home island. Which then brings us to the pirate turn 8, where the dragon goes through the whirlpool, planning to pop up behind the El San Francisco and do any sort of damage she can. But just to sum up the pirate's game, she unfortunately fails the whirlpool roll and loses her final mast. Now, technically, the dragon can still keep moving with the galley roll, but I decided to call the game here as I felt that the Spanish fleet were more than capable of dealing with the leftover dragon there. So in the end, it was quite a major Spanish victory. They'd returned 8 gold to their island when I flipped that up, and there was 8 more gold on the El San Francisco, and the pirates didn't manage to bring back any gold. And it was the final moment that the dragon came through that whirlpool with no masts remaining. I think there was 2 sort of decisive moments of the game. Going back to turn 3 of the Spanish, when the Algerciras went for that aggressive attack and managed to score 2 hits with both of her cannons. Could have changed the outcome of the game if the Atlanta was still capable of putting up a fight. And also maybe the pirates could have brought it back here when the Kintai Fong attacked the princess. If she'd even managed to do 1 more damage, that might have changed that battle for the middle of the board there as well. But that's just how the dice rolls go sometimes. And also at the end of the game, I decided to have a look back at the fleet options to have a think if I could have done anything differently. I thought about whether or not I should have gone for the Ranger to just have that faster base speed and then maybe take the Helmsman and put that on the Dragon and take the Explorer off the Dragon, maybe put a Cannoneer on the Ranger to make up for his poor cannons. Or possibly even just changing the Latlant to the Bonnie Liz and the Dragon to the Hanyu Pinion and doing something like that way around. But it's kind of hard to tell because the Latlant just got a bit unlucky against those 2 attacks from the Algeciras. With the Spanish fleet, I think I was actually quite happy with that. Arguably, I could have gone for the Bloody Jewel because I didn't actually end up needing the El San Francisco's better cannons. But I think El San Francisco was still fast enough to do her job, so I was still pretty happy with that. So yeah, that sums up the short game for us here. Like I said, I had a 4-player game that I played yesterday, which I'm planning to do another battle report. Hopefully get that in a video form sometime within this week. But I just wanted to put this video out there just to see what people's reactions were, what they thought of the video, what things they thought I could do better. And also, if you want to give your thoughts on what you would have picked for each of the fleets and what you would accrue, you can leave that as comments as well. That would also be quite cool to see if some people have other ideas. But yeah, other than that, thanks for watching the video, and hopefully see you soon.